So, Dr. Business, back at it again. I'm gonna preface this video by saying this. Every financial decision you make should be a decision that puts you in a better position in the future. I'm gonna repeat that. Every financial decision you make should be a decision that puts you in a better position in the future. Let's get started. Now, on today's topic, we're going to talk about credit consulting, credit restoration, credit repair, and credit counseling. What are all of these things? And well, I mean, are they the same thing? What do they do? What are the objectives? Now, I want you to remember what I said initially on the video as I preface this video. First off, let's talk about credit counseling. Now, this is, in my opinion, I should say, one of the biggest waste of time scams. It doesn't serve the initial objective. It really doesn't. Credit counseling or debt settlement services, and there's a lot of them out there. And most of them, quote unquote, call themselves non-profits. Let me just, there's companies like Green Path Financial Wellness, Cambridge Credit Counseling, Aspirin, In Charge, and there's actually even like CCOA. A lot of states have these non-profit companies that quote unquote do credit counseling. Now, I'll say this first. Before I start talking crap about before I continue talking crap about credit counseling companies. Now, there's in certain cases that it makes sense to approach these companies, and these are the only cases that I would suggest, in my opinion, of course, this is not financial advice or whatever it is. These are the only cases that I would approach a credit counseling company. There's sometimes where you're a first-time home buyer, and in order for you to get approved for a loan, you have to go through home buying counseling or whatever they call it. And it's through a credit counseling company or through like a debt management, one of these so-called non-profits, whatever, companies. Sometimes also, there's some states that have tightened bankruptcy laws, and they require if an individual wants to file bankruptcy, they have to go to credit counseling or bankruptcy counseling before they actually file bankruptcy. There's also some student loan forgiveness programs and some things, because student loan is the worst debt there is. We're gonna make another video about student loans, okay? But you can't really get rid of student loans. But anyway, there's sometimes, once you go through some of these credit counseling services, you can sometimes get your student loan forgiven, or you might be able to work with them. They might be able to work with the student loan company better than you might do because of their, if they're like a government agency or whatever it is. So anyway, those are the only 3 specific reasons that I would suggest to work with these companies. And now let's start talking about as to why Brian hates these companies, and especially as it pertains to their marketing tactics. Because what they sell, and this was hugely popular in mid-2000s, probably about 8-7 years ago. Now I don't see a lot of these commercials. I don't watch that much TV, but they usually will sell this idea if somebody is in a bad position, they will come in, and if they have a lot of credit card debt, and they will come in and they will help them manage all the debt. They will lower all their payments. And this is also one promise that they used to make is we're gonna get all these payments into one payment, and all you're gonna do is just focus on one payment, and we're gonna settle all your debts. Okay, that's what they will sell to people. But what would necessarily happen, and as I'm breaking down their business, number one, you have a lot of these debt services or a credit counseling company that would take an individual, let's just say for an example, that had a lot of credit card debt, 5-10 credit cards that had balances, and they would tell them that we're gonna consolidate all your debt into one, and you just make one payment. Now, what they would do is they would advise the client not to make any payments with the debt credit card company. Why? In order for their tactic to work, you have to actually be defaulted on your debt. So they intentionally tell you to default on your debt. Okay? So that's number one, which ruins your credit report, ruins your relationship. We'll talk about that later. So that's number one. Number two, they put all your debts and they tell you to make one payment to them. And when you make this payment to them, they say that they will put it in an escrow account, and this escrow account is eventually going to accumulate in money, and they're going to use this money to settle all these credit cards that you owe. One thing that they don't tell you sometimes is that they're going to charge you a management fee, because the majority of these people do have fees. They're going to charge you a management fee. I've seen some crazy management fees, 10% all the way up to 15%. This is just the most silly idea, the most stupid idea. You are literally already in debt, and they're going to put you into more debt in order to help you get out of debt. What sense does that make? Okay, I mean, and also, do this work? Well, yes and no, in my opinion. They utilize credit repair. This is one thing that these credit counseling and credit repair or credit consulting or credit repair have in common. They utilize federal and state laws to meet their objective. The credit counseling company told you that they will help you get out of debt, which they eventually can, because they're going to force you to default on your debt, and then you're raising all this money, and then these companies are going to approach them and say, hey, we owe you $10,000. She's clearly defaulted on the debt. She hasn't paid you a payment in 6 months. Are you going to settle for $3,000, or are you going to settle for $2,000? And the credit card companies do settle, because eventually they don't want to have these debts with it, and they're usually going to sell them to collection companies and so forth and so on. But that's not the point. So you get the idea. There's certain laws, there's certain states, and also certain federal laws. We're going to dissect the laws much deeper in later videos. That does allow and kind of, in a sense, obligates a creditor to work with an individual that is in default. And also, it is in the best interest for the creditor to take something other than nothing. So to some degree they work by meeting that objective, but they put you in a bad position later on. As I said, I preface this video, every decision that you make as it pertains to your financial life should be something that puts you in a better position in the future. This leaves you with bad credit. This leaves you, because you have charge-offs. Some of these companies might settle and end up selling the leftover balance to a collection company. It might be, it's just bad overall. You ruin your relationship with some of these lenders, some of these banks, which, I think, and actually, I think there's a credit report, but there's also some internal black books, in my opinion, as I call it. There's some of these lenders, if you're this individual that, maybe went with a credit counseling company, you're kind of blacklisted. And they don't really, offer you any products in the future, even after, the debt has been settled. So, they just kind of leave you in a bad position. Now, let's talk now about, and again, in addition to that, you actually get more into debt because you have to pay them for the services that they're offering you. So it's just a bad thing all around. Honestly, a consumer can do what these debt services do by themselves. But it is a very emotional thing to handle such a thing. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. And I've explained to you, what credit counseling, if you hear the word credit counseling, that's what those people do, or debt settlement services. That's what those people do. And I've mentioned a few, and I'll probably put a link in the description, but you're gonna, quote unquote, call themselves nonprofits, whatever. Now, let's talk about credit repair. You might hear that. You might hear credit restoration, or as I call the service that we offer, credit consulting. Credit consulting, because we get a little bit much deeper and a little bit more one-on-one with the client. But we're going to talk about credit restoration, credit repair, and credit consulting. This program, because it's an industry that I'm in, and I don't think that I don't want this to sound like I'm biased because I'm in the industry, but the whole objective is to help you remove negative items off your credit report so you can better position to lend money and go out there and do what you need to do. That's the whole objective, period. They don't care if the items are real or not. I'm just gonna let it be known. Most people in the industry, they don't care if the late is actually valid or not, or whatever it is. The main objective is to get the items disputed, utilizing numerous tactics that we're gonna be talking about and breaking down in these videos here on YouTube. But I'm in the industry. We get this stuff off the credit report. There's just like the debt settlement companies, as I mentioned, we utilize laws that are in the books, like the Fair Credit Reporting Act, like the Fair Debt Settlement Act, like some state laws as it pertains to statute of limitations on debt, and a few other things. We utilize laws to get these items off clients' credit reports by disputing them, by we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the different tactics that are used in the credit repair industry. I'm dropping jewels in these videos. So I want you guys to understand, just as I explained to you how the debt settlement companies work, I'm explaining to you right now how the credit repair or credit consulting or credit restoration industry works. They utilize laws in the industry, where the main objective is to help the client remove the items off the credit report. So, hopefully now I've explained to you and you understand kind of the differences between these two and why I lean more towards credit restoration and credit consulting or credit repair than debt settlement. Most consumers, they're in a position, and majority of credit repair companies do know how to handle debt settlement with an objective in mind to get the items off the credit report. But the debt settlement companies don't do that. They just, man, I've had so many clients, and the reason I'm making this video is for so many clients that I've met and I've had to deal with, and they're stuck in this contract with the debt settlement company, and they're having this money drafted every single week or every single month out of their bank account. Their credit is being ruined. Nothing is really happening. And they reach out to me and it's been 6 months or it's been a year, and they still have shitty credit, and they're still in debt, or maybe the debt was settled but they left them with shitty credit and they don't know what to do now. And it literally also, and this is also one of the biggest things that I hate about what the credit, the credit counseling agency does. It removes the incentive that you have to work with the lender to get certain items off the credit report. You know what? I'm gonna save that for a later video. I don't wanna make this too long of a video. So we're gonna save that for a later video. Again, Dr. Business, grab the book. This is the book that I talk about, 3 Paths of Lending. As I get started with some of this content, we're gonna focus a lot about credit. We're gonna focus a lot about, killing all the myths. I'm the doctor and I'm pissed off that y'all have been lied to. So I'm here to tell y'all the truth, exactly how this stuff works. But later on, we're gonna change gears a little bit and talk about some lending. But you definitely wanna grab my book, 3 Paths of Lending. I talk about the 3 different ways on how you can get money for any business. And what I say is, it doesn't matter if you're looking for $1,000 or $1 million. There's only 3 ways on how you can get money for your business. Challenge me in the comments below if you think I'm BSing. So there's a bonus chapter on there. Of course, I talk about credit. You definitely want to grab this book. Also, we run one of the best incubator programs in the world. What we do is we help entrepreneurs just like yourself navigate the complexity of starting their dream business so they can get off the endless, self-defeating, pointless rat race that they're in and take charge of their life through business ownership. We also help them get funded, $50,000 to $1 million, however much money you need. We help them with the initial foundation, getting their corporation filed, getting an EIN number, getting a logo, getting a website, getting a business card, designing of the website, getting their marketing a team together, getting their marketing budget, working on their projections for their business, helping them understand what solution to actually bring to them to the marketplace. Help them be in the right mindset in order to be an entrepreneur, because it's a different shift whenever you just regular 9-to-5 worker and an entrepreneur. And actually, there's a training that I'm providing you below. If you can, click on the link below, and I provided a 45-minute training that I really talk about the 5 different shifts that you have to make in order for you to become an entrepreneur. It's probably the best 45 minutes that you ever spend. You definitely want to take a look at that if you're an entrepreneur. And schedule a call if you're interested in part of our incubator program. And again, I appreciate you for being here. Like the video, subscribe, dislike, whatever it is. Just let me know what you guys' thoughts are, and I'll see you in the next video.